Hello everyone, welcome and welcome back to Relocate to Australia with Promise. This is your D.I.Y relocation platform. So what I basically mean, as I've explained, it's where you get to learn how to do your own relocation process without the use of an agent. Because I did it, okay? So I could not afford to get a relocation agent, so I had to do this myself. And I just feel like it is very important for me to then share the knowledge with people, to say that if you don't have the funds and the money, to do this thing, and you want to relocate and you don't know where to start, I'm your girl, okay? I'm your girl. Should you feel stuck and you don't know where to start, and you just feel like no one is there to help you or listen to you without you having to pay a price, you just have to buy data, search my name, Bay information, okay? So it's all good. Anyway, for those of you who do not know, my name is Thlologelo Rampa. And yes, this is my channel. So welcome to my channel, guys. Welcome and welcome back to everyone that has subscribed. My new subscribers, thank you so much, guys. Thank you also for the engagement. I've been getting a lot of requests, and I've been getting a lot of emails and messages on my LinkedIn, on my Instagram, on my Facebook, from people. I can see that a lot of people are very nervous, and I understand. This process is going to be long, as I've explained to you. It's going to be very long. You need to be very informed. So if I tell you, go here, go read, go do it. Don't expect information to just be there waiting for you. No, go read, because this is how I did this process. If you're not going to be willing to read and put in time and apply yourself to this, it is your fault. Though, if nothing happens, it is your fault. So when I tell you go read here, ask questions. At least when you also ask questions, be a person who knows, okay, this is what I've read, promise, I'm not too sure if I understand what they mean. And then we can have like discussions around it to say, oh, okay, I think this is what they might mean. Because I know this is exactly what I also went through. It's like, hey, what are they saying here? And unfortunately, I had to like Google a whole lot of stuff. And because I didn't have really anyone that was gonna walk through the process with me, like in a way in which I could understand. One other thing that I have decided to do with this platform is to create a group of 10 people, because I have identified that there are a lot of people with similar problems. Some people are in very different stages of their relocation journey and processes. So what I've decided to do, I'm going to have a group of 10 people. I just chose 10 because I don't know, it's just the easy number for me, I guess, at this point in time. So I've already got people who've raised their hands to say that, promise, can we be part of this? It's going to be like a WhatsApp group. I think sometimes maybe we might have Zoom meetings. It really depends on people's schedules, and also being mindful of the fact that we've got a time difference. So obviously I'm in Australia, so you might be wherever you are. So trying to find then a balance to say, okay, this is a time where it would work for both me and you, or whoever's going to be involved in that. I've got a 9 to 5, as most of you know, so I also have to kind of like work around it. I've got a family, I'm a wife, and all of that. So I understand that our situations are not the same, but we just have to find a way in which we can accommodate each other. So what the plan is, I'm going to be sending out selection criterias to people that have raised their hands to be part of the first group. So the first group is going to start in January. So I'm thinking of having like just like weekly meetings with the people that I'm gonna be discussing this with. So in the first group, so in my head, the idea that I have is that I'm gonna have this group of 10 people. We're gonna first start by having like a WhatsApp group to introduce each other, and all that, maybe progress to like a Zoom meeting, and then we explain where we are in our processes and how we feel about it and where we are stuck. And also, it's kind of like a way in which, even if I'm not there, at least I know when you like send messages, someone in the group will say, oh no, Promise said this, or this is what I read, Promise, what does it? So it's kind of like, it's going to be like a group discussion where we can grow and develop together. The first group is going to be in January, the first 10 people. If you don't make it to that list of 10 people, don't worry. February is going to be another list. March is going to be another list. So hopefully by end of the year, we're going to be having like a whole range of people in a community where we can be able to kind of like communicate and share our processes and all of that. And as I've explained, it would be great for you to like the Facebook page that goes with this channel, because at least there you'll get to meet then the people that you're communicating with and the people that you're talking to, which kind of creates that community of support, for you in this process. Also, I would like for us to be able to support each other, even if it's not just for the relocation journey, but also emotionally, because I know this thing is very emotionally daunting. It's scary. Like, oh, guys, it will test you. Oh, it is so testing. Like, you're just like, oh, I don't know what to do. So I think at least if you know that, okay, I don't only have Promise, but I've got also these other 9 people around me who are in this with me. So I think it's going to like create, I'm hoping that it creates this kind of like support for each other, where even if I'm not able to be there for you guys, you've got each other to say, okay, Joe, please walk with me through this. And again, it also builds that community where when you come to Australia, you've got a face, you've got someone that has been here. Because I cannot wait to have people relocate after we've communicated and be like, Promise, there was this one lady, she's in Rockhampton. She spoke to me, I think, was it last year or early this year? She was asking me questions about Australia and all of that. And she's like, no, I'm still in South Africa, planning on coming. This is what is happening. And then this one day she sends me a message like, Promise, this is where I am. I'm like, no, you don't say. So now I'm very excited because I'm going to be meeting her. So I'm like, even me, like right now, when I'm helping you guys, when you come here, you must tell me, okay? Because I can meet you at the airport and be like, yo, what's happening? Because also the thing that is going to happen with this channel, it's not going to just be about the relocation, but also how to settle here, where to find cars, where to find a house, how to rent. I'm going to be going into all these things that are going to help you settle. So it's not just about this right now. There's a bigger picture as well. So we have to make sure that we create this community, okay? In my head, this is what I'm planning. For the selection criteria, it's going to be a place where I can then censor, okay, this one is still a student, this one is clued up, this one does not know much, this one needs more support. And I can then be able to have these groups and say, group A is for students. So I'm not going to really focus on them right now, but I'm going to still continue to guide them so that they can build into this. Because for them, it's not like an emergency. They still need to complete their studies. Group number 2 can be for people that have already started. Group number 3 can be for people that don't know anything. They're just like, hey, Promise, what is going on. Group number 4 can probably be people who maybe they want help with like English tests or something like that. Group number 5 can be people who are working with agents, but maybe because, when you're working with an agent, sometimes you don't feel like you've got control over what's going on because they are very vague. These people like to be very vague. Like they like to make you feel like you don't know what's going on. So, because it's their business, they have to make you feel like they have to provide something for you. So it's at least for people who, because I don't want to exclude anyone. So for people who are using agents, it's going to be like that one. There's going to be that one group for you guys to say, okay, what are you struggling with and what is going on? When sometimes agents don't explain to you things in details when they're like, okay, go do a skills assessment, and maybe you ask them what is a skills assessment and they give you a vague answer. So at least we know, okay, let's just support these guys as well, even though they're using an agent, So that's what I'm planning on doing. So next year is going to be obviously hectic. I've got other plans for my life for next year as well, if God allows. Please, God. So if God allows, there's gonna be like some changes in this. Maybe gonna be there are going to be some changes in my life next year. So I have to be able to say I'm going to accommodate this path that I'm about to take, but I also need to accommodate this because I feel this is a purpose for me to serve, for me to do for my people. So that's the WhatsApp group that's gonna be going around. And we'll see how it goes. Alright, guys. Anyway, let's get into the business of the day. Skills assessment. Okay. This is very, 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 this is very important. This is where everything legit begins. This is where everything begins. The relocation journey begins. Yes. So this is where everything begins. I don't know why I keep on saying it's a skills assessment. It's a skill assessment. I think I used to suck my thumb. So I've got this going on. So I think if I say skill assessment, it makes me uncomfortable. So I'm like, skills assessment. I'm like, got it. English. I remember when I first heard the term, you need to do a skills assessment. I'm like, that is too deep English. Please put it in vernacular English. Please put it in an English that I can understand. And they're like, basically, it's like you transferring your skills from South Africa to Australia. I'm like, transferring. So how do I transfer them? Like, how do I transfer them? What do you mean transfer? Okay. So I got nervous because I'm like, what is this? What are they talking about? Where do I find it? How do I know about it? You know what I'm going to be doing today? I'm going to be showing you where do you find the relevant skills assessing body? But before we go into it, let me start explaining let me start by explaining what a skills assessment is. So a skills assessment is basically you saying to Australia, this is who I am Promise, and I've went through this educational journey, and these are the skills that I've acquired. This is where I have worked, and I can use all these things and who I am and all the qualities that I've got and the skills and everything and my experience. I can use all of this to fulfill a job in Australia, because what basically Australia wants people that they can use. So you have to be user friendly. In life, you need to be user friendly all the time, and don't feel like it is a personal attack or anything like that when I say to you that you need to be user friendly. You need to be user friendly because that's how you navigate life. You need to serve a purpose somewhere, anywhere, in anything you do. It's just like even in a relationship. You being married, you serve a purpose. So you need to be user-friendly in your marriage. You being in a friendship, you serve a purpose for your friend. And your friend serves a purpose for you. So you need your friend to be user-friendly. And you need to be user-friendly to your friend. So Australia is kind of saying to people, look, we want people to fulfill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then they're like, hey, yo, I am here. You can use me. So that's basically a skills assessment. It's where you say, this is who I am. This is what I've got. I've acquired these skills by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I can use these skills of mine to fulfill this job. Because one thing that I will tell you, and I realized this, I think, when I was in university. And you know how sometimes you pick up a book and you see that, and these authors, they're not from South Africa. Who are these? Oh, they are from America. So basically, I'm being taught American social work. Oh, so I can go work in America. Musakir, you are teaching me your social work there. So why can't I come there to work? It's just like that. It's just like that. You saying that my skills can be transferred from where I am and I can apply them to where you are right now, and this is how I'm going to be applying them. So obviously Australia is going to have like requirements where they're like, okay, we can only take you and we can only be confident enough that you would be able to fulfill this job by you meeting these requirements. It's just like applying for a job. Take the skills assessment like an application for a job, but now this is like a life-changing job. So you need to be very serious and be very sure that you are attending to each and every criteria that they want. Okay, one of the assessment journey that we're going to be talking about, I'm going to be doing a series of videos for it, because obviously there are going to be challenges. It's not going to be the same for me and you. I'm a social worker, as most of you might know by now. My husband is a vet. There might be people who are medical doctors, nurses, dentists, a whole lot of things, in order for you guys to then be like, okay, I think I can understand what Promise is talking about. Later on, I'm going to be then unpacking, okay, for social workers, these are the requirements that they want you to fulfill. For nurses, this is what they want you to fulfill, so that we can also go into it together. Because I'm going to have to also learn while I'm teaching you guys. So I'm very open and willing to learn in order for us to learn together, okay? So today what I'm just going to be talking, I just wanted to keep it very simple. It's just you understanding that the skills assessment is you saying that I can be used. Use me. Just like when God is like, hey, I need you to be my servant. And you're like, God, use me. God, use me now. It is the same situation. In the next videos, I'll be explaining to you that if you are not in a situation that allows you, when you look at the criteria, you're like, but I don't fit 10 of these criteria, but I fit 5. How can I get myself in a space where I'm able to fulfill the rest of the 10 and prove to them that I can actually do the whole 15, so we'll be going into it well later on. People's situations are different. I fully acknowledge that. Even my situation was, my skills assessment was so traumatic because I did not have work experience, and they kept on saying to me, Promise, well, you need work experience. I'm like, I told you, I don't have work experience, and I'm not sitting at home. I'm unemployed for 3 years. I'm not sitting at home because it is fun to sit at home. I'm sitting at home because I don't have an option. So what is plan B if I can't then fulfill if I can't then tick the box for being employed? What else can I do to be? Because I want a positive skills assessment. And they were like, okay, wait, we'll come back with an answer. I'm like, come back with an answer now. I want to know, I need to do this thing. Because sometimes also when you're stuck and you send someone an email to say, look here, this is what I want and this is what I want to be done, it kind of demonstrates to the next person that this person is serious. But if you're going to be sitting there and you are going to allow the punches to come at you and going to just be beaten up, no, let them punch you punch back. When they're like, I promise you don't have work experience, you're like, what? Hey, I don't have work experience, but I've got this. You don't have work experience, yes I don't, but I've got the drive to get the work experience, so get me a job. You have to show that yay, you are there, you are there, you want to do this, you want to relocate. Because sometimes people want to deal with people who are serious about their business, you know. So you need to then be like, hey Joe, look, me, the English that I've got is like this, but I can do this thing with the English that I've got, and this is how I'm going to improve my English, and this is how I'm gonna do this, you know. So we're going to be going into it when we unpack it. So as I've explained in my previous videos, there are very different skill assessing authorities. There's AASW, which is obviously Australian Association. This name is long. This name is long. Australian Association of Social Workers, AASW. That's the assessing authority that I use. So in the next coming videos, I'll be showing you how you get into it, how you find the right form for you, because obviously it's a very big website as well. This is really outside of the Australian immigration website. So this is so it's like, so the first beginning. So the beginning is the Australian Immigration Home Affairs website. Then when you go into it, it will then tell you, oh yeah, this is the way you go into to find your skills assessment. I'll be showing you when I flip the screens. So they've got their own website, very different. All of them are very different to the next one, where they assess different things. So you need to spend a lot of time in there reading and making sure that you are doing the correct assessment, because you're going to be paying for this. How long? You want Coke? That, and also when you go into that website, they obviously have like different forms that accommodate different people, because there are some people who are immigrants who came here to Australia as students. So obviously they need to assess their skills as immigrants who had then their skills in Australia. So there are different forms that are there to accommodate different things, and obviously they do other things. Like for example, AASW, they don't only do skills assessment for immigrants, but also for those who have studied social work in Australia, but they also handle everything social work related in Australia. So that's why it's very important for you to sit and make time to actually go in and read, so that you can then filter out to say, okay, this is what I should not be focusing on, or this is what I should be reading on. Oh yeah, this one is the one that Promise was talking about. Let me go into it and then read. So when I get in there, I know this is what they're talking about, or when they say this is what they mean. So that's why it's very important for us to then have this group and say, Promise, I just read this sentence and I'm not too sure if my English is like, you know, serving me well. So please read it for me and maybe we can discuss it. So that's why this group is very important, for us to then unpack these things for each other, and also to kind of like share ideas on how to navigate it. Because someone might come in and say, oh, well, Promise, that's how you did it, but this is how I did it. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. So I think it's then going to grow our knowledge as people. So yeah, that's that. So as I've explained, for social workers is Australian Association of Social Workers. And then we've got other ones, like for example, let's say for example you're a chef or you're a plumber. I didn't even know that plumbers can relocate, because for us, plumbing in South Africa is child's play. Here it's a serious thing, and I'm like, hey, this is very nice, you know. I didn't know. So I'm like so excited, because I'm like, I'm going to tell my brothers and sisters in Africa that, yeah, wait, now you've got gold in your hand. People are laughing at you that you're a plumber. You can go to Australia. Like, yeah. So they call them trade occupations. So trade occupations are like your plumbers, your chefs, like people who've got like this very special skill, right? So you might have not maybe gone to a university, but you've gone to like a technical college where you do things with them hands, because not everyone is going to go into a university. So I think this also allows people that have just gone to like a chef school or a technical college, and you can say, okay, this is the education that I've got, because in Australia they really value education. That's the nice thing that I love about this place. They value education so much. So you'll say to them, this is who I am, this is what I've done. So for people who are like in the trade occupation, the assessing authority is Trade Recognition Australia. So basically it's, what do they call it? I think it's TRA. Yes, it's the TRA. So they've got like a whole list, like it's a huge list of occupations that they do assessments from. So that's great. We'll be going into it to see who's there, who's not there. Ne? So there's also an assessing authority for nurses, for registered nurses all over the world. So I think the assessing authority is called MNAC. So it's ANMAC. So what that stands for is Australian Nursing and Midwifery Accreditation Council. I had to memorize these things because I didn't do them. I'm not a nurse. But yes, I've got a friend that is a nurse and she's always dragging me to say, promise, please help. And I'm like, my friend. So I always have to go in and read and be like, okay. And then I try to unpack it with her as much as I can. So she's to blame for this. So yes, I think it's called Australian Nursing and Midwifery Accreditation Council. Yes, so that's where all the nurses, they get their accreditation done there. Okay, and then for teachers, we've got also an assessing authority for them. It's called, so it's AITSL. What it stands for is Australian Institute for Teachers and School Leadership, or something like that. So basically they assess teachers to say that, okay, your teaching degree can then be used here. I know there are some people who are going to say, but then I teach Isindebele, or I teach Tswana, or I teach Sepedi, or I'm teaching Portuguese, or I'm teaching Chinese. So there are some teaching skills that Australia wants. Like for example, there are some schools that offer French as a subject, Chinese, Japanese, and all of that. They don't offer Sepedi, Sizulu, Afrikaans, because I've got teacher friends. So what I've advised them is that if you want to relocate, right? I know there's this program called Teach English Abroad or something like that. So this is like that program where people who would want to teach English in China would probably take. So I'm like, no, go look in where you're going to be doing your assessing your assessment and tell them, I've done the basics, the fundamentals of teaching. I know, and I've done it. I know teaching psychology and all of that. But the only difference is that I have majored in this. So in order for me to then fulfill a role there, what do you need for me to do? So let's say, for example, maybe you want to be an English teacher here or something like that. Go do that one course maybe. And then you do your application again. So you tell them the fundamentally, teaching is teaching. Teaching is teaching. Everywhere you go, every day. Teaching is teaching. But it's just that it's different because you have then focused on one area of teaching, like for example mathematics or whatever that you have decided to do. But at least you know that you can then transfer your skills. And as I've explained, this is you just saying to them, this is how I am willing and this is what I'm going to do to transfer my skills from where I come from, for me to then be user friendly when I get there. Okay, the next one is for engineers. So the people that do assessments for engineers, it's called what is the assessment? Yes, it is called Engineers Australia. So yes, they've got like a whole list of which engineers they're looking for and how you can then do that assessment. Another thing that I will tell you guys, these skills lists change all the time. Sometimes an occupation can be there 1 year, the following year it's out, the following year it comes back, so you need to always be ready and you need to know, okay, this is what I need to do. Should my skill not be on that list this year, I need to prepare myself to know that should it come up later on, I'm ready. I've got the work experience, I've got whatever. And if you're desperate to leave South Africa or wherever you are, try looking at other countries, because it's not just Australia. You can look at Canada, do you want to go to America? Wherever you want to go, look elsewhere where they've got a need for your skill. Sometimes also when you start there, Australia can then see that, oh, okay, you've got international experience outside of where you are. You are a person we can use. It becomes easy for you to then jump and fit. So don't just give up just because it's not there, and just because your skill is not on the list this year. Don't just give up and throw the towel. Work. Look for other avenues, look for other channels, look for other opportunities. They always say if there are no opportunities, you create some yourself. Okay, that's what they're talking about. If there are no opportunities here, go look for them elsewhere. If they are not there, open a spaza shop for social workers. Oh, I'm joking. But it's true. Look at me now. I'm a social worker on YouTube. See? creating opportunities, bruh. And then there's an assessing authority for people in IT. So theirs is ACS. So what it stands for is Australian Computer Society. So that's where all the people that have got their IT things going on, you can do your assessment there, and then they'll give you the thumbs up. And then for accountants, they've got, I think, 3 that I've identified. They've got CPA, they've got IPA, and they have the third one is CAA. I don't remember what they stand for, but you can Google it because it's too much now. 3 assessing authorities. Me, I did not do accounting. Oh, so just look them up. I think you'll just have to then pick one that suits. My advice for people who are accountants: just navigate all 3. Okay, navigate all 3. Maybe their pricings are not the same, maybe their requirements are not the same, you don't know. So when you just navigate all these 3 and see which one will best suit your situation and give you the maximum where you can then get potentially a positive outcome. Okay, so that's my advice. Don't just sit with one because you're lazy to go look at the other ones. Look at all of them. Okay, and then I've got a friend who is studying to be a dentist. So he messaged me. Obviously, because he then messaged me, I was like, oh, I wonder for dentists if they've got this thing. And I found it, my friend. I found it. So it's called ADC for people who are in the dentistry field. Hey, this thing. Dentistry field. Yes, who are in the dentistry field. So I think it's ADC, Australian Dentist something. And last week I did talk about the medical one where they assess medical people. There are a whole range of them. There's this one called Vet Assess, so it's VETASSES, I think. So they do like a whole range. So it's just like for your general occupations. Like I know, for example, my sister, she did animal science, so that's where you get the assessment. So Vet Assess actually assess a lot of people who come with like very general occupations that are like not really specific in a specific field. So as I explained to you, I'm going to be switching screens, so we'll be looking at a couple. At this point in time, the last time I checked, I think there were 42 assessing authorities in Australia. Yes, I think there were 42 assessing authorities in Australia. So what that means does not mean that only 42 occupations are on the list. No, you can just go into it and see if your skill is like part of it. Their website has changed so much from the time when I used it in 2017 and 18. They've tried to modify it to be in a way that's going to be user-friendly for people. So what they've basically done is to try and see if you've got the skill. They tell you, yes, this is a skill that we want and it is very much in high demand. Because in Australia, they've got like classifications of skills. There are those that are like very much high in demand: social workers, vets, doctors, all those kind of occupations. They're like, we want you now. But that does not mean that if you're not a social worker or a vet or a medical doctor, you can't relocate. There's also then a section for, we don't really need the skills so much, but having it would make us be comfortable in managing our economics and our country. So it's just going to be on a medium kind of scale. But yes, we do want you. And that does not mean that these ones will then be a priority. You won't be. It's just that to say this can be a skill that can then be downgraded at any point in time. So if we do feel our maximum capacity for this skill, it might be taken off the skills list. So that's what they basically, I think, mean. And then so they've just been like classifications and classifications of these things. But do not be discouraged if your skill is not in the SCARD skills. Just use whatever that you've got. As I've always been saying, you use what is on your table for you to fit in however you can fit into the situation. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. So what I'm going to be showing you guys is how you get to the immigration website. I'll be leaving the link down below. I'm going to also be leaving you a link that's going to take you directly to the skill occupation list. So this is obviously the list that I told you about. That's where all the occupations are that Australia wants at this point in time in 2020. That might change next year. That might change in 5 years. It has changed last year. It changed 10 years ago. It changed. So it's always evolving and evolving. So even if your skill is not on right now, do not give up, okay? Be ready. I remember reading something, I think it was something from Oprah, and she was saying that sometimes people like to say people are lucky. No, you're not lucky. You're just in a position where opportunity has met preparation. So this is you right now preparing and waiting for an opportunity to arise, and you're like, there, got it. got it. I got this. Okay. Because when now your skill is, let's say for example 5 years or 2 years or next month, when your skill is now on that list, you're like, hey, I've been watching Promise all this time. I've been collecting my documents. I've not yet done anything, but I'm equipped with information. So when it pops up, you're like, aha, here I am. You are first in line. Okay? So let's do this. Okay, so I think as you can see, I have cleared my history so that you don't see what I search. So let's start here. So I normally just type in immigration Australia, so it takes me straight to the Australian Immigration Home Affairs website page. It's usually the first one to pop up. So you have to, I was trying to be a bit slower when I was recording this so I can be able to talk. But anyway, yeah, so this is the immigration and citizenship website. Just look at the options. I normally usually go to the working in Australia one because you want to be working here. So because we're going to obviously be referring to this a lot, and as I've explained, spend a lot of time navigating and getting to see all these tabs and go into everything and just explore it. So right now we're going to be looking at the skilled occupation list, the one that I was telling you about and raving about this whole time. As you can see here, they've got some removed occupations. They sometimes explain to you what had happened so that you know, probably maybe also helping you to kind of figure out if that skill is going to come back. They've got this tab here called the skilled occupation list where you can search your skill, because they've put all the skills in alphabets from A to Z. So then if your skill maybe is like social worker, you would have to like scroll down to like page 7. So maybe they discovered that, okay, now that's not user friendly. And then they decided, okay, let's have the search button so that people can then find it easier to navigate to the skill that they've got or the occupation that they are in. So I was just scrolling through a couple. As you can see here, I'm hoping that you are able to see the vet assess, the vet assess engineers Australia there for the engineer. So this one is for an agricultural engineer. And then we've got an agricultural scientist. Hey, English. And then we've got a whole bunch of things going on there. But I'm just trying to show you what it kind of looks like for you guys to then know this is what you can expect. So there's the TRA for the traders. And you see the pages. So you can either click on the next to go to the next page. So yeah, just navigate and play around and see what you can find. Sometimes it is really great for you to just play around there to see what skills are there, just in case you've got a friend or a relative or a neighbor who you feel might also benefit from such information. So I'm just going to go up and I'm going to search for a particular skill. So you just go into there. So obviously I'm going to look for not Sophia, but social work, because I am a social worker. Because yes, I can't be scrolling all the pages to find then letter S for social worker. So be very mindful of the code that comes underneath your occupation. Mine is 27251, I believe. We'll talk about it later. It's very important for you to be very mindful of it because it's going to be referenced a lot. But yeah, I'll explain to you some other time. So yeah, I think as we can see, mine is the AASW, as I've explained to you previously. So obviously I cannot be redirected into the website, because normally it would take me directly to it. I don't know what happened. So what I decided to do is to get out of this tab, just get into a new tab, go to my search engine, and then type in the AASW as directed by the government. So as I've explained to you guys, they deal with a whole lot of things. So that's why it is very important for you to be very specific about what you want. Play around, get to see what the assessing authority is all about, because I think the more you read, then the more you'll be able to understand what they're talking about. So be specific and say skills assessment. So yeah, being specific is very helpful, obviously, but sometimes shortcuts are not great. So that's why it's important for you to just spend a lot of time in these website reading. As you can see, there's so much to read. I told you guys, you're going to need yourself, you're going to need God, you're going to need your ancestors. We're not going to go into it right now because there's obviously a lot, but yeah, I'm hoping you get a gist of what I was talking about. So because we have to be very mindful of time, I try to not take a long time with these videos, because I'm like, hey, promise, you just talk too much, but there's just so much information as well. But anyway, as we have seen, we've looked at how to get into the immigration website. Whatever skill or occupation that you've got, there's a link that takes you to the assessing authority. So then you just follow. So next week, what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be going in depth with at least maybe 10. I like 10. I think 10 is my favorite number, because I'm gonna win 10 million when I play the lotto. No, I just like 10. I think 10 is very easy to manage. So yes, I'm going to be looking at maybe, let's say, 10 occupations that we might then go into to say, okay, this is, even if it's just briefly, like just spending 2-3 minutes on it to say, this is what you find, this is how you find it, and this is how you apply. And then what I'll ask you guys, please comment down below with the occupation that you would like for me to have in my top 10 that I'm going to be talking about. Obviously, I'm going to have social work there because we're social workers. Maybe I'm also going to have veterinarians because my husband, representing my husband. And then I'm going to have nursing because I've got a best friend of mine who's a nurse. I've got a lot of friends who are actually nurses. I'm also going to be maybe looking at like teachers because I've got friends who are teachers. What else do you want me to look at? So you let me know down below in the comments. Also do message me whatever that you would like for me to look at, and we'll then take it from there, and then we'll see how it goes. So next week we'll be going more in details to how to do a skills assessment, what goes in there, how much it's gonna cost for different people, which is something that I've already discussed, but at least now we'll be having like real prices on the screen. That's what we're going to be doing. So I can't wait to see you guys next week. Do not forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like, to comment. Don't forget to follow me on my social media platforms, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. Facebook, remember, Facebook, not my Facebook page, not my Facebook personal page, but the Relocate to Australia with Promise Facebook page. So feel free to follow me wherever and however. Feel free to communicate with me. I'll be doing the WhatsApp group that I'm so excited about, and we'll take it from there. So it starts in January next year. I'm taking this thing very serious. It's very life-changing. It was life-changing for me, and I'm hoping that this life change will then spread to the next person, so that it spreads to the next person. Because for me, ultimately, I feel like when we develop each other and we grow each other, we are able to then change the next generation. It just advances you in life, and it helps you, because another thing, when you come here, you must send money home. You must build houses for your mother, buy a car for your father, okay? You don't just get dollars and you're just going to sit here enjoying your dollars. You must pay your 10% back home, okay? That's how you develop Africa. Stop complaining, okay? So yes, that's the situation, guys. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Do all the things that people do when they're here on YouTube, okay? Thank you, guys. Goodbye. See you next time. Goodbye.